gives all-in-one and done relief with a morning jolt of instant cooling sensation. It's comeback season.
Take some time and say good morning to each other and hit the like buttons. You give a couple of hugs. Give a hug, get a hug. Rizo, File 13, Mike Patterson, RX1s, Pidgey Page, Little Roy, Hags, Streety. This is a poorly written, just an okay Medrosi. I need 3 more people here this morning, real soon. But say hi to each other first. Michael Allen just put out a whole menu. Heard, Cobalt, heard. Take another 30 or 40 seconds. Good news, Mushy, huh? That came? That made it through the snow till you did it, brother? There's a bunch of birthday presents out there in the mail, too. My January birthdays. They're flying around out there. Sounds good, Mushy. Love you, man. Happy birthday. Jolie Cantor made me that cup. The picture, the cup, everything. That's my cup of the week. Good morning, Hare. How are you? Oh, I'm fine. Whiskey, isn't this a great mug? Seriously, I love this mug. Tea tastes better out of this mug. And I always can remind myself who I am. This is the part that stares at me. So if people ask, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Hold on, let me take a sip of tea and I'll tell you." Good morning, everybody. Let's get 2 more people on the board. I see Kylie. His name was on my list here. I forgot to write him up there. I apologize. Him, her, Kylie. I'm not sure. Mushy, yours is up on the shelf. I'll get out the New Hampshire mug next week. I love my New Hampshire. It's big. It's as big as you are. What's going on with that live free or die state? Huh? Are you guys ready for this coming Tuesday? Listen, we're not going to be political here, but are you ready for Tuesday? You know what's going on here? You know what I'm going to do later today? You know what I'm going to do later today? I'm going to move my car from colonizing chamber to the fruiting chamber. Okay? So check this out. Who thinks it's just about time to move the car? It's fully colonized, I think. I'm feeling like that is pretty close to fully colonized. Okay? And if I'm going to take it and I'm going to move it to fruiting, which, yes, we're going to park it in the garage. And my sense is we're going to get some pretty big fruit off of that fella. Huh? What do you think? Anybody think we're going to get some pretty big? We're going to slip it into the garage. Put the temperature at what? 74 degrees. We're going to have a gas burner going in there. 74 degrees. Set it up with the thermostat. And then put a light cycle on it. 12 on, 12 off. The lights in the garage will slip on at 8 in the morning. They'll go off. They'll go on again. 8 and 8. Okay? So pay attention. Keep track. It should only take 7 or 8 days from today for us to find out. And it was, here's how we're going to fan it. Simple. Just drive it back and forth. Just drive the car back and forth kind of fast. Give it a 3 or 4. Just like that, and then park it. Okay? So all we got to do is zip the car back and forth up and down the driveway 3 or 4 times. Back in the garage. Missed the garage. Set it at 74. So every 4 hours you have to go drive the car. Okay? Yeah, that'll do it. So, my expectation is to get some huge AF mushrooms out of this one. AFAE, the whole caddy. And then, yeah, I got a mist. I can run my humidifier in the garage pretty easily. Only have like 6 of them from my beginning days. Oh, I got to have humidifier number 1. Get a better one, bigger brand. Spend more money on one. I have 6 humidifiers. I don't use one of them. Okay. Kylie, I already put your name on the wheel. Calm down, pal. I put it on there. I did it right there live. And then I even said, come on. Come on, don't focus on that. That's the last thing in the world we need to focus on. Okay? No, I get it. I get it. Matter of fact, let's get someone else up there. Okay, let's get someone else up there. Who's going to answer this question? Okay. No, not that one. Okay, who's going to answer this question? What poet? All right, get your poet heads on. Get your poet heads on. All right? Aquarium fogger for sure, SSW. Not needed. Okay, so you're a poet. All right? First person to answer this correctly on my screen is going to get a slot, a piece of pie for a spin to win. Okay? What poet wrote, I celebrate myself and sing myself? Celebrate myself and I sing myself. Go. What poet? Leroy. Leroy, haven't seen Leroy around in a minute, but Leroy popped in the door, said Walt Whitman, and he is absolutely correct. Walt Whitman. The poem is called Song of Myself. Okay? So Leroy, congratulations. Nice to see you here. Leroy. We all agree we got to get one more. Let's get one more person up there. Okay? Let's get one more person. Getting a piece of pie. Get me one more person who won't make me cry. I need one more person who won't make me cry. One more person who can guess the answer now. Let's see. All right, hold everything, you bunch of hubcaps. Okay, let me get a different card. Let's see. All right. This one you have to promise. You have to promise you're not going to go look the answer up. We'll know. We'll all know the looker-upper person. Don't look it up. Figure it out. Okay? Guess. Guess as many times as you want. But do not look it up. Okay? As hard as that is for you competitive people that really want to win, don't look it up. It's not fair to everybody else. Here's the question. This is a good one. You ever heard of UNICEF? UNICEF, U-N-I-C-E-F. UNICEF. What did the I and the E stand for in UNICEF? Go. What are the I and the E in UNICEF? Not incredibly edible. Not international education. International exports, no. What do the I and the E stand for? Jason wants about the international something. Okay. What do the I and the E stand for? in UNICEF. Paige knows, but keep it to yourself. Tad, what's the other part of it? What's the other part? Quick. Tad got it. Tad Lewis. International emergency. A lot of you guys were getting the international. Somebody even said national and didn't spell international correctly, but it doesn't matter. He won a prize last week. International emergency. Come on, guys. The words were dropped in 1953 to reflect a shift in worldwide conditions, but the acronym did not change. Okay, good, Michael, thank you. Okay, Tad, you're on the board. Tad, you've got a slice of pie. Thank you, Michael. Michael's been smart this week, you guys. If Michael hadn't won last week, he'd have been taking everything home this week. Okay? So, Tad, you're on the board. Hang around. Excuse me, hang around today, guys. We're going to spin in a little while and get 3 winners. And those 3 winners are all going to win some beautiful fruit to take home. Okay? Fruit to take home. Now, let's talk a little bit. We've been talking about spores for a week. We think we kind of understand them. Kind of understand where they come from. We certainly enjoy watching them launch. I do. I love watching those things launch. We understand now how water impacts the physics of the launch. That it's a surface friction that causes it. We know that the one cap can get you millions and millions and millions and millions of spores. And they're so small that you can't see them with your naked eye. When we do see what we do see on our prints, we're seeing thousands of them piled on top of each other. Okay, you're not seeing each one of those as an individual spore. You're seeing huge amounts of them. We talked yesterday about how to gather a print. Take a fresh piece of fruit, cut the cap off, get yourself a print spore. Okay, well, now we're sitting around. We've got a bunch of print spores. What are we going to do with them? Let's take a look under the microscope at a spore. Okay, let's do that real quick. Almost look like little seeds, don't they? I love that picture right there. Super beans. Blood cells. Oops. Isn't that amazing? I could almost look at that for a long time. Yeah, Kim, totally mushroom seeds. The lady that cleans my house, she finds little rye berries around. She thinks those are mushroom seeds because she's seen bags colonizing. She thinks Pop's rye berries are mushroom seeds. Look at this fella. You can even see where the gills were, right? Could we even see where the gills were? Isn't that beautiful? Vague, why do we still love this? Why is this so cool? These are blonde spores. These are blonde spores. Oh, Streety, Streety, get out of Australia. Come back. Come back. Are there any new people here? We have some people asking, are there any new people here today? First time you've ever been at the Tea with Pops show. Hanging out with the tea crew. We have these for sale on our site. Swabs. What? Streety's going out to Arizona? Is he free? Hope you guys get a chance to hang out. This is a small little article on how to view spores under a microscope. Okay? Prepare your microscope and accessories in a clean environment to avoid cross-contamination. Apply your spores to a clean slide. If using a spore syringe, shake the syringe vigorously to distribute the spores throughout the solution before applying a drop to the glass slide. Once the spore are on the slide, place a cover slip on top of the spores to protect them. You know, that small little piece of cover slip that you put on the slide? Cover them with that. Place the slide with spores on your microscope stage and adjust as necessary to bring the view into focus. Take photos, measure spore size, and most of all, have fun. Okay? You guys are sitting around your own house teaching yourself how to be a scientist. It's absolutely one of the coolest things that we could do, I think. You talk about bringing yourself in touch with yourself, let alone nature. Just amazing. So the thing that we talked about was gathering a print. We now have a print. Okay? What are we going to do with that print? We want to do one of two things typically as a mycologist. We're going to take that print and make a spore swab from the print. Okay? You don't have to use the whole amount of the print in order to make a spore swab. You could just swab a little section of the print. Leave a great majority of the print sitting there. Of course, you'll ruin your masterpiece, but you can just swab a certain section and you'll end up, if you have a swab that looks like the one we showed you here in this picture. I've been reading a lot for the last 2 to 3 days because I'm not a swabby. I've done them early in my mycology journey. Was never real pleased with it because the process of starting from spores, you still have to clean it up. You still have to get generations to join. So when you're starting from a spore, especially a swab spore, not a spore I made, a print I made myself, but say somebody sent me a swab spore hey, let's be honest, the legal way to do it is to buy swab spores, prints and swab spores. You can buy those all day long. Okay? Um, and I think there's two um, states in the United States that can't receive spores still, I think. LC is still, let me be honest with everybody here, LC is still illegal in almost every state, unless you're legalized like Oregon. I mean, LC is, it's liquid, it's cultured, it's growing. I think the two states that I know of, California, and if I'm not mistaken, Georgia. California and Georgia. Right, Sandy? You think Idaho too? Could be. Those are the states that they don't even want you to see anything coming in the mail. Not that anybody pays attention anymore. I'm honest to goodness. Liquid culture. Liquid culture is, you don't see the legit sites offering liquid culture of any of the psilocybin shrooms. They'll offer spores. They'll offer spores in the syringe. Because with the spores, they're just sending you the seed. They're not sending you anything live and active. If you get some LC in the mail, it's already growing. Liquid culture. Excuse me, and I don't mean to be rude to anybody here, but I use, in my brain, I almost think of the spore as a sperm. It's one little spermy fella. The liquid culture, I'm already buying the embryo. Liquid culture, it's already in an embryonic state. I just need, what do you call them? The mom that carries them around. What do you call that? Surrogate. I just need a surrogate to boop, and that's what my bags of grain are. They're a surrogate mother. So when you're buying LC in the mail or from anywhere, you're buying the embryo. You're buying the baby's already coming. All right, now it's up to us to keep the baby alive. We even know what kind of baby it is. Generally, we can look at it, we know the strains. Okay, LC is by far our favorite way to get things started. But that's one step beyond. We have to know what we do. Part of our mycology journey, experience the spores, okay? Experience how to start with the spores. You've now made a print. The next thing I would suggest you do from that print is you're gonna make a swab. Super easy. You can buy these for a dime a dozen from a lot of supply places. Sterilized, packaged swab, okay? From this point forward, you'll really want to work in a very, very clean environment, if not under your still air box or in front of an airflow hood. You're going to want to take your print, open it back up, take your swab, moistened in distilled water, slightly moistened, and you can just wipe up some of the swabs off with the tip of your applicator, your swab applicator, and then take your swab applicator and put it back in the package that it came from and seal it. You're now going to have something close to maybe a clean swab. Let's talk about swabs for a minute. Most mycologists, myself included, don't bother with them. They're easy to send to you. Like you send them to me, I get them from people. And they're doing a kind thing. Pops, check out my swab. And I appreciate it, but 9 out of 10 times, unless I really want to know that strain, I'm not doing anything with your swab. I either give it away to somebody else, or usually that's what happens. I don't like working with swabs. There's pros and cons to swabs. Let's discuss them. The pros of swabs are that they're cost effective and easy. Spores are extremely cheap to produce, so they're inexpensive for a customer to purchase as well. It makes it easy to experiment with mushroom cultivation without breaking the bank. Okay? That's the basic pro. They're easy to work with and they don't cost much. They're a dime a dozen. The cons of spore swabs. High risk of contamination. The spore vendor must open the sterile packaging, expose the swab to the air before swabbing the mushroom gills. This significantly increases the risk of contamination, meaning that the customer could purchase a contaminated spore swab that's not even any longer viable. In addition, the customer's money would be wasted as the contaminated spore swab would not produce the desired results. Therefore, the risk of purchasing a contaminated spore swab is very high. Number 2, after the spore swab is made by scraping it against the mushroom gills, the spore vendor puts swabs back into the original packaging. How many of you guys have seen that? It's back in the original package. Ooh, it's taken out. They put it back in. Oh, that looks pretty clean. Again, the customer must rely upon the spore vendor sealing the packaging correctly. Oh, it's also coming through the mail for a week and a half. This is another risky procedure since the original sterile seal was broken and the packaging has been exposed to the spore vendor's air. Number 3, because each step of the process is a high risk of contamination, contaminating spore swabs is very easy. The customer may waste their money and potentially months. And finally, using spore swabs also requires higher grade laboratory equipment, basically a still air box or a flow hood. You're going to want to use those and work in front of them. Okay? This equipment can be costly, especially since HEPA filters that are used in mycology can be very expensive. The best alternatives. I know it makes RX, it makes it sounds like if you use a swab, you're gonna die. We've all used them, but once you've used a swab, you still have to clean up the plate. When you do, okay, so now I've taken my swab. I'm gonna take I have spores on my swab. I'm gonna take a blank agar plate. I'm gonna take a blank agar plate now, okay? And I'm gonna do it a little S pattern, all in front of my flow hood. As I'm doing it, I've got my plate sitting here, and I have my lid. It's sitting here, the lid to the plate. What we want to do in terms of a technique is one hand is going to briefly lift the plate, but it's sort of keeping the lid still over the top of the plate, even though you're in front of the flow hood. You're still using the lid. You're not going to open up the lid and turn it to the other way, so anything can possibly land on the inside of the lid. You keep your lid. All you do is just boop, lift it off, slightly tilt it, and now you take your swab, run an S pattern on top of that agar, and put your plate back down. Put your lid back down. That's minimizing all opportunities for stuff to fall and get involved. Okay? So no throwing the lids around like they're Frisbees. Okay? Now, once you've done that, you're going to watch things colonize on the surface of that agar. Not everything, 9 out of 10 times, not everything that's colonizing on the surface of that agar is clean mycelium. There's a lot of you're going to end up with contaminants on there. This is when we call cleaning up a plate. This is when we're going to, now our next step is we have to go in there after we have some rhizomorphing and the Spitzenkorpers have done a little bit of work and you have some kind of a mycelium growth going there. You're going to go in there with your scalpel and you're going to cut out a piece of that clean, white, perfect mycelium, and you're going to transfer it to another plate. Now, all of the contaminants that were on the swab, et cetera, are all left behind. Okay? But it usually takes 2 plates, sometimes 3, to go from a swab to a clean plate that I know I can now turn into liquid culture or take that plate straight to grain. Okay? The best alternative to spore swabs are spore syringes. If you really got to work with spores, start with syringes. We've shown you that you could do syringes without having any laboratory equipment whatsoever. The only thing we would recommend is a torch. Plastic gloves, alcohol spray, clean area, fast movements. You can inoculate a lot of things, liquid culture. You don't have to have, you don't even need to have a still air box. It's the spore syringe, okay? Remember that with the spore syringe, that your results from the spore syringe may need to be cleaned up just like a swab, okay? And you can also try liquid culture. Liquid culture is somebody has done a lot of the work for you, and they're ready to offer you an embryo. Okay. The spores turn into mycelium. That's correct. Okay? So you'll either want spore syringes, liquid culture syringes. If you've already tried spores, you know how they're working, and they work, and etc. for you. Okay. Using a spore syringe or a liquid culture is far easier for someone new, as it doesn't require any special equipment to succeed. Okay? So that is a little bit about the swab itself. Are we enjoying this? Give me 10 people that are like, yep, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. And even some of you already know this, but there's a lot of you like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh. Okay? So you've got your print, you've made a swab, or let's make our own spore water. Let's make our own spore syringes. So what are we going to do? We're going to take a jar of distilled water, and we're going to sterilize that jar of distilled water. And the simplest way to do it is use your pressure cooker. You have a jar. We use distilled water because it's super clean already. Okay, it's been distilled. You can buy a jug of distilled water at your grocery store for $2 for like a gallon. We got tired of spending that kind of money, so we bought our own distiller. So now whenever I want to, push a button. 4 hours later, you get a gallon of distilled water. So you have to plan ahead, right? It takes a long time to distill water with these little homemade distilling machines. So anyways, we take our distilled water, we put it in a jar, usually about 3/4 of the way full of the jar. I recommend using a quart jar, not the full quart jar, but the small pint jars, okay? So I take a pint jar, I fill it about 3/4 of the way full, distilled water. I'm going to put it in my pressure cooker, and I get it up to temperature, which is 15 psi. I get it up to 15 psi for 12 to 15 minutes. That's it. After 12 to 15, don't go over 15. You can remove your water your jar from your pressure cooker, and that jar now has sterilized itself. It's all sterile inside. The lid should have mentioned this. The lid that I'll use on that, I'll usually have a self-injection port, a self-healing injection port on that lid. So it's real easy for me to poke the lid, pull my syringe out, and it seals itself. And I can use a self-healing syringe port maybe 20 times before I replace them. Okay, you can pop the little seal, the port off and put another one on. Because after a while, you start seeing the same hole. You're like, ugh, that hole's getting pretty big. Okay, now, I have my Spore syringe. Excuse me, I have my Spore swab, right? And I have my distilled, sterilized water. I wait till my water cools down to room temperature. I have to get back into under my still air box or in front of my flow hood because I'm using a swab. Okay? I'm going to open up, just crack the lid on my jar of sterilized water. I'm going to take my swab that supposedly was in a sterilized container itself, which it wasn't, and I'm going to take it and just dip it in the water and swirl it around a little bit. Swirl it around. So I know some of the spores are leaving the cotton swab and dropping into the water. Take it out, close it. I now have spores that are going to start mingling and having orgies in the water. Are they clean? I don't know. My next step is once I have enough growth in that water, I'm going to have to go in there with the syringe, pull a sample out, put it on a blank agar plate, and check it. Make sure that there isn't anything contaminated in it. If there is, not a problem. Now I have some growth on that plate, clean it up, cut out the good stuff, and go from it to another new plate. But as you can see, starting with spores, you're adding weeks to months more to your process, and you're guaranteed to probably have to clean it up. Okay? But that's how we will start. We'll take a print, and we'll take a swab, and we'll start an agar plate, or we'll start sterilized water to begin to make spore syringes. Okay? There's one other trick some people do. And it's not unusual. You can take your spore swab, and instead of doing an S pattern on your agar plate, cut off a tiny little amount of that cotton tip, which should be sterile, probably isn't. Cut off just a little tip of that and put that with all the dark spores attached and put that right in the center of your plate. You have basically a little cotton nest sitting there. And then you'll watch that grow out, and hopefully you'll find some clean sections of mycelium to be able to transfer onto another plate from that. So you can actually start it with a piece of the cotton sometimes. Okay, we covered a lot of ground there. Next week, we're going to get into how do we inoculate things. We're going to get into some of the growth of those things. We're going to get into how to inoculate things. And we're also going to talk about liquid culture next week. Okay? But now that you have a spore print sitting around, go get yourself a swab and a blank agar plate. Start practicing. Start experimenting. Okay? And then when you're done experimenting and doing all of that, you'll say, you know what I really need? I need some liquid culture really fast, some stuff that'll set my grain on fire like yesterday. And then you just hit the DetroitMushLab.net and we have all you need. Right over there. Sandy's done all the work. Did you guys hear me? Sandy has done all the work. It's sitting there, embryos ready to go. You don't have to do all the work. The good news is Sandy's got he tries to be impeccable. I shouldn't even say try, he is. He's impeccable because he tests it all before he sends it. He tests it. Blank plates, all of that. Pops, I'm nervous. I can't send this. We can't list this yet. I haven't tested it. I'm on my third test now. Okay? So, we just don't experience complaints from people that have gotten green juice from us. Just is not happening. And if it did, on the rare random occasion, we will fix it immediately. Okay? So, hit the site. I'm helping support a hobbyist in the process. Let's do a little bit of reading out of our book. We're going to go there for about 15 minutes, and then we're going to spend the last 10 minutes of our show today giving away these gigantic pieces of fruit. The DetroitMushLab.net is the place to fly. You know what, you guys? I have to ask CCS. CCS, are we coming up close to a year with that site now? Did we start it in January or February last year? Deborah, we're not joking when we say Sandman stuff is really, really good. I'm not joking. It's one of the reasons I love him as a person on the planet. That's why we work together. And we'll only work with the best stuff. Best fruits, best LC, tinctures, phenomenal. Some of the hash that's coming out of here. Woo! Has anybody seen that? New York hash. Okay? A lot of good stuff. Penny had just got it yesterday. I'm telling you, it's fast. It's fast and it's clean. The power of the word. Where is the power of the word misused most? Penny, you move fast. Where is the power of the word? We're in the book, The Four Agreements. I'm on page 33. I'm going to talk about this stuff for about 15 minutes. Oh my God, you should see the snow coming down. Hold everything. Woo! I'm still from California, so snow still freaks me out. It's just not stopping. Just freaking me out. Skip says the power of the word is used by televangelists. That's a good one. It's a good one. Where is the power of the word used the most? In hell. The dream of the world. The walking hell. And I'm not talking hell that burns you stuff. I'm talking hell that's a liar. A hell that develops anxiety and depression. Requires it for its monetary success. We farm anxiety now. And our anxieties are changing. Our kids' anxieties are nowhere near the anxieties you and I had when we were kids. They're not even the same. These anxieties are literally farmed for monetary gain. Would we call that a place that's hell? Yeah, that's pretty hellish. We farm egos. We farm guilt. The weight loss programs couldn't work. Size 2 dresses wouldn't sell as often. Or a sick society anyways, because we started somewhere 50s, 60s, somewhere post-World War II, changing the American diet. Anybody that believes in evolution has to understand that in just a 75-year short span, the obesity levels that are going up, and then I'm an obese man and I have an obese wife, what's my baby gonna be? What's my baby gonna be? What's that kid's baby gonna be? Now we're 3 to 4 generations in. People look at each other, it's not my fault. It really isn't at a certain point anymore. We're literally evolving into more obesities. Everything we eat, it's processed from somewhere. We stopped eating out of the family farm, off that family garden. Do you remember the term victory garden? What was a victory garden? What was it? In World War II, the food supplies were down. You had to have stamps to get certain foods. You'd have to stand in line. I got my butter stamp. I can get this amount of butter this week. From your stamps. Your sugars, whatever it was. It wasn't nearly enough to get a family through. Families had little gardens in their yards. Victory! We're going to win the war against Nazis. And we're going to feed ourselves. We're capable of growing our own food and feeding ourselves out of our own yards. And it was the accepted thing to do. It was an agreement, a social agreement. My grandmother had a victory garden. My dad had a victory garden. There were victory gardens in almost every house up and down the street. When was the last time you saw a victory garden? When was the last time you saw one? Once in a while, there's a co-op. There's Ferndale has one. There's like a little quarter of a city block. We make a big deal out of it because there's 4 pumpkins growing in there. A beanstalk. Everybody gathers around it a couple of times a week and stares at the beanstalk. This is amazing. Well, you could do that in your own yard. Your monotub's a victory garden. That's a good one. We live in a hell, you guys. And if you don't recognize it, hide our head in the sand and pretend it's not true. That's not the thing to focus on. That's just a starting point. Just know it. These agreements that we've come up with, we've all agreed to eat the food off the shelf from Myers. It's faster, it's easier, and I'm getting obese. It's okay. My neighbor is too. Nobody cares. Our health costs are all going up as a result of it. I mean, the whole thing our mortality rates are coming down. This is the first time in a long time less people are living, or you're living less long, even with medical advances. We're evolving ourselves with these agreements that we have. I'm worried about the nuclear family. I won't take it any further than that. But there used to be a value in Mrs. Cleaver. June Cleaver was a stud. Neither of the boys turned out to be murderers. Wally turned out okay. Beebe went on to make something of himself. Even Wally. You guys know what Wally did, right? The actor, what was his name? Ken Downing, something like that? What happened? What happened to him? Does anybody remember? I do. What happened to Wally? Tony Dow was Wally. Yeah. No. I mean the guy, Eddie. That's what I'm thinking of. Eddie. The butt kisser boy. What's his name? Eddie Haskell. What did Eddie Haskell be? That's what I'm thinking of. What did Eddie Haskell become? Huh, Penny? What did Eddie Haskell? He was my favorite character because he was such a schmoozer. What did Eddie become? He went on to become Jesus Christ in Australia. That's correct. No, he became Eddie Christ. Michael Patterson has it correct. Michael Patterson, you're absolutely correct. He went on to become a Los Angeles policeman. Very specifically, motorcycle cop. For 15, 20 years, he rode a motorcycle, Harley Davidson, around, giving out tickets around LA. Here comes Eddie. We all saw Eddie. Here comes Eddie. He worked in the Devonshire division. Can you imagine that? Eddie becomes a cop. That's a mighty fine sweater you have on there, Miss Cleaver. Yeah, Penny. He was a cop in my hometown. I never saw him. I never got a ticket from Eddie. That would have been hell. We use the word to curse and to blame and to find guilt and to destroy. Mostly we use the word to spread our personal poison. We use it to express anger and jealousy. We use it to express envy and hate. The word is pure magic. The word is the most powerful gift we have as a human being. I firmly believe that. Neuro-linguistics programming. Has anybody ever noticed this? When you're recording your voice on a tape recorder and you play it back and you're hearing, and you know it's you because you just recorded it. And you hear it back and you go, that doesn't sound anything like me. Anybody ever had that experience? Like 99.9% of the time, we look at that and we go, that doesn't sound like me. I don't get it. And everyone in the room's like, of course, that's you. I mean, come on, it's you. It's you. But it never really sounds exactly like what I thought it was supposed to sound like. Kim could explain that. It's physics. It's physics. I know, Niffy, I don't like my voice either. I swear I don't. I don't. but I don't want to say that out loud because that's an agreement I'm just making with myself. I'm working on liking my voice more. What happens is when I speak out of my mouth, you're over here with your ear X feet away, and sound waves travel this way and that, and it's a physics. When I'm speaking, I'm actually hearing from two places. I'm actually hearing physically. I'm hearing the sound wave leave my mouth, boom. It's really a close, quick trip to my ear. It's like a super fast trip. It takes longer to get across the room to your ear than it takes to leave my mouth and get to my ear. So I'm hearing it really fast, quote unquote. But I'm also hearing the vibrations inside of myself. I'm also hearing them. There's like a vibration going on. As my tongue goes against the roof of my mouth and all these vocal cords are going, and there's an internal sound. Those two go together. So when I speak, my word, myself, hears it and feels it the most. Does that make sense? No matter what I say, who I say it to, I absolutely will hear it first and loudest. I like the word resonant there. It will resonate with me more. Does that make sense? Physically. No matter what I say. It's there that fast. And I'm going to argue that the faster it hits and the more resonance, the more power. I'm going to argue the more often I say the same thing, the more power. I'll give you an example. Does anybody know a pathological liar? Does anybody know one? I know a couple. Used to, not too much anymore. Do you know that people tell themselves a lie enough? It's pathological. They actually believe it. They're not just walking around, oh, I hope everybody believes my con story. They believe it. You've said it enough. It's gone fast enough. It's resonated enough times that you'll absolutely believe it. No, I'm not looking forward to being around people like that either, Niffy. And I'm not. Nor do I see people here like that. I'm saying this is the power of our word. This is the power of our word. The power of our internal vibration. It's magic. There is nothing else like it. There's no other animal on the planet that does it. There's other animals that have communication systems among themselves, but there's no other animal on the planet that with their word can create cosmic changes. MLK, Martin Luther King on Monday. What did Martin Luther King do? Did Martin Luther King go around and twist a bunch of arms and beat a bunch of people up and put people in headlocks and make them all? What was his tool? What tool did Martin Luther King use to bring some kind of civil rights to his people? He used his power of his word. The exact opposite of the Hitler guy. He used his words. Your words are just as powerful as Martin's. Who thinks Martin was more powerful? Who thinks Martin's more powerful? Who thinks Martin might have practiced more? That's all. He isn't more powerful. Pops isn't more powerful. Brock isn't more powerful. Niffermama's not more powerful. Whoever's practicing more, their power's going to increase. The word is magic. How you're using it is magic. It's a negative magic or a positive magic. Practice. What words are you using? What'd you just call your kid? Did you tell your kid he was stupid today? Did you tell him yesterday? Oh, that was stupid. Did you call him a liar? You know what you do? You don't tell your kid, are you lying to me? You know he is. So you're asking him to lie again. That's what we do with the power of our word. We force our kids to keep lying. Oh God, I better keep lying. Are you lying? You already know the answer. You know what you're supposed to say? You know what? In this house, we grow good boys. Our boys here tell the truth. I know that's the kind of boy you're going to be. Boom. They're sitting there going, oh, geez, I'm going to be a good boy. I'm going to be a good boy. I'm not going to be a liar. Even if he just lied. He knows you know. How are you using your words? How are you using your words with your wife? With your husband? Same way. Challenging. You already know the answer, but you're going to query. We do it to each other. Set up. Set them up so you can take them down. That's not how we're supposed to communicate with one another. We're supposed to remember the power of our word. The power. It is mind-boggles me, the power of our word. And the more I practice it, the more powerful I'm getting. I mean that. My power is like, have you seen the mushrooms I'm growing? My God. They weren't supposed to get this big. I didn't know they were going to. I thought, hey, pretty nice. I'm going to try to colonize the car. Let's colonize the car now. We'll talk some more about this next week. Our word, I want you to just all weekend, right before you say anything, I don't care if it's good, bad, whatever you think you're about to say, take 10 seconds before you say it. Take 10 seconds before you say it and check it against this gate. Your mouth's the gate. It can't leave the gate. Your word cannot leave the gate if it isn't creating love. Period. You know the old, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Same story. But we don't practice that. That's the same story. Let your mouth be the gate. Let the checkpoint be, am I building when I say this? Is this going to be a positive to my relationship with my wife? Or am I about to start a fight over Channel 5? I don't want to watch what you want to watch. Let's fight all weekend. Let's end up in such a big fight we spend the weekend in other rooms. Let's start a really big one. Let's get the kids so upset. Let's get the kids grounded. You know what I'd rather see you have the kid do? How about this one? I'm going to do our spins now. Give me 5 people that agree with this. Instead of grounding the kid, why don't you and the kid grab a shovel and a hoe and go start the victory garden? Just a couple rows. Couple rows in the back corner of the garage, of the yard. Come here, son. I'm not going to ground you. But you got to weed out this spot. Get this all ready. I'll go pick up the fertilizer. There's a lot of ways that we grow our kids. Penny, you're a bad girl. Let's do some spins to wins. Okay? Here we go. Okay. Here we go. That's looking like a Leroy to me. So close, Tad. Leroy. Is there a Leroy here still? Is Leroy still here? Mr. Leroy, are you here still? Is Mr. Leroy here? He popped in, said hello, got him on the board. Is Leroy here? There he is, Leroy Houck. Good job, Leroy. I'm going to be sending you this beautiful fruit. This beautiful fruit. Let's take a quick look at it. Well over an eighth. Well over an eighth. So Leroy, send me your address at the DetroitMushLab.net. Boy, you guys are good guessers out there, DBS. And we'll send that off to you. Okay? So that's spin number 1. Let's do spin number 2. Let's get another one of these out of here. Leroy, you're out of here. Leroy, you're out. Let me get someone else in. Number 1 through 50, go. Number 1 through 50, go. I know the number. I'm going to try to fill this spot with another name. 1 through 50. I know the number. If you're already on the board, don't say anything. You already have a spot, right? Don't say anything. Don't mix it all up. If you're already on the board, keep it to yourself. Yeah, one of the people on the board just got it. I'm going to ignore that, and I'm going to keep on going. Laura Devine. Laura Devine. The answer was 35. Laura, you just joined the pie crew. Okay? Laura Devine. Good job, Laura. All righty. 35 was the answer. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Laura. So Laura, there wasn't even going to be. You didn't even have to sweat for the week. Everybody else had to spend the whole week stressed out. Am I going to get it? My name's on the wheel. Am I going to get a chance? What am I gonna... Laura, one and done. Let's get you this one. Let's get you this. Oh my God, she was just breaking the veil. Okay, here we go. Laura, let's put this on the scale. Oh, geez, Laura. Oh, geez. Let's get you over a half. Let's get you this one here. Miss Devine, send me your address at the Detroit Mush Lab. Boop. And we'll send you that fella right there. Okay? Now I'm not going to put someone else's name on that spot. If Laura's comes up again, we're just going to ignore her. Okay? We're ignoring her. Here we go. Let's go again. Okay. Rizo. Rizo's here. I saw Rizo. Here. Rizo. Rise up. Rise up, brother. Look at this monster. Look at this monster. What? Let's see how much it weighs. Hold on. Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice one. We're going to send you that monster. Basically, it's a tree stump. It's basically a tree stump. And then it's got a little friend attached. See the attached friend? Tree stump. We got fruit like this coming out our ears over here at the Detroit Mush Lab. Okay? So if anybody out there is write to us. We'll send you the menu. So I have those three people. We know who the winners are. Rizo, Laura, and who is the other one? Leroy. Okay. Thank you guys for playing with me. Thanks for hanging in all week. For those of you that were on the wheel, if you didn't win this week, you'll get chances to win some more. Okay? Rizo, address at the DetroitMushLab.net. We'll get this stuff mailed out to you. I am not going to the post office today. I will try to mail everything tomorrow. Okay? We pulled off something miraculous yesterday that allowed us to get all of the packages that we had. Remember the day before, Brock was going to hike up to the post office, and he ran into a postman, and the postman took everything? Pretty cool, right? So what did I do yesterday? I'm going one better. Okay? I'm going one better. So I had all the packages sitting in a little plastic box. Okay? And I had 2 chocolate chip cookies. The big chocolate chip cookies. Okay? And as soon as the postman came up to drop something in the slot, the door opened. There I am. Hey, I was hoping you could do me a big favor. My car's frozen in. Is there any way you could deliver these to the post office for me? And there's something on top for you. He's like, absolutely, no problem at all. He walks off with the plastic box, and I'm thinking, yeah, I could sacrifice a plastic box. About a minute later, here's your plastic box back. Can I do that every day? I need a new relationship with the postman. Okay? I think he felt sorry for me. I have never, ever, ever once had a postman pick up the post here at the house. Ever once. And then after I think about it, Niffer, you know what? I don't think I've ever asked one to before. I think I assumed it was my responsibility. I have to absolutely go, Cleanie, I don't want to hook this guy up because I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't want him to be knowing what's in the packages. You got to be careful with the postman. That's the one guy you want to be good with, but you got to be kind of careful. Am I right? You know who we hook up? Yeah, the dispensary delivery guys. They fight for it. When they see our address, they're like, let me take it. That guy gives out. You should see the tips that guy gives. Okay? But we don't want to tip the postman. We don't want to tip him off. Get out of here. Why am I'm just yapping with you guys. I know, Sandy, I don't know why I do that part of their job. I feel guilty. Part of it is I don't really want him involved in the felony. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want him to be an accessory and he doesn't even know it. Sort of feel like I'm setting him up. And I don't want to do that. So shooting them down to the post office. And then I also have a sense of relief that they're there. So, you know, I personally dropped them off, so I know that they're there. So, because they're pretty valuable. You guys go have a beautiful weekend. Be impeccable with your word. Practice, 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 practice. Practice your mycology too. But you know what? If you're impeccable with your word, I'm a personal witness. You will grow the most amazing fungus you've ever seen. Okay? So go have a wonderful, beautiful day. I also, Sharon, I don't want to tempt the mailman either. You know what I mean? It's like he's getting 82 packages every day. Eventually, he's going to want to look in one. You know what I mean? It's like, just keep it out of his hands. Yeah, I don't want to put the postman in prison. Okay? Cleanie, Sandy, File 13, Mr. Marmars and Kimberly and Kylie and Nicole. You don't know what's going on here. We're having tea. We just sit around and yap. But we do 3 things here, Cole. We laugh a lot, we learn together, and then we practice love. Practicing. Pilar and Cleanie and Herbie, the fewer hands it touches, the better. You're on my page. Caitlin and Chad, JC, and Daniel C, and Nippy, and Pidgey Page. Oh boy, that's an official word. Sharon, love you out there, Sparky. Mike Barabal and Pilar. And Kimberly, have a fantastic weekend, sweetie. Jesus Christ, in Australia, you don't have these problems. Ghastly, DBS coins, Greenie. There's my green table. Mr. Marmars, Evan playing pool. R&R. Jolie, I love you. Grady, Tiffany. Peace, little one. Vague, have a great weekend. Laura, please be divine. That's easy for you. Nipper and Jonathan, how's the lab doing? MDK, Mike, and Skippy. Deborah, you're quite a pearl. Cleanie and Waz and JC and Love, he's slinging it. Paige and Mushmouth, I love that guy. Justin, it's just okay. Free the ancient one. Rizzo and Saska and Whiskey. 17 seconds later. Hey, mama. Oh, what you doing there? Hi, girl. Kylie, Carlotta. Hair care. Nippy, Jimmy, Max, Deborah. JC, DBS, Streety. That's my guy. Room. File 13, Aaron. Haven't seen Aaron in a minute. Rizzo, Michael Allen, JC Mike and Daniel C and Pilar and Paige and Melissa, and then one more time, Melissa, I'll just do them one more time, Melissa, Sid and Crystal and Jimmy, all the way to the max, Pops, Peace, be impeccable. I didn't say a thing about packing a bowl. I said impeccable.